Hello, and welcome to Barovia. I am your humble master of dungeons and keeper of dragons, Pixel. And I am pleased to present to you the now returning from 4-month hiatus and hoping we remember what in the ever-loving hell we were doing, 39th episode of Ages of Ainur presents The Curse of Strahd. Yo, what's up, everybody? We are back for the first time in a long time. And it's good to be back. It's good to be back in my DM seat. You may notice a few things. You may notice that we now have some new little shiny things on our... I don't have any, but they do down there. Some things for you to see better when they have inspiration and when they have had their hit dice and stuff renewed. I have the ability to turn those all on and off. You can see them flickering now. So pay attention to those as you're doing your channel points. So, upgrades. We're doing our best around here. Keep things fresh and funky. As always, we're going to get into the game here in just a few moments. But before we do, we're going to do those usual housekeeping things. And since this is the first time in a long time, we are going to go back over it all just in case you forgot what the frick-frack was happening here. First things first, friends on map screens, try not to spoil things. You now will be seeing the GM stuff. I know when we do Avernus, you don't see the GM stuff. It can be all confusing. For Strahd, you will be seeing GM stuff, which means you'll be seeing grayed out things or semi-transparent stuff or monsters hiding in the next room, all of that kind of stuff. Don't spoil that because the players will be hanging out in chat with you all. Second, of course, don't freak out about rules. If any of you out there are D&D rules lawyers and otherwise, there's a lot of rules in this game, and we don't always get them right. Sometimes we just make stuff up. So don't lose your mind about it, because that's not this kind of game. Third, this is an open, welcoming space to the extent that that is possible on the internet, so do keep that internet toxicity bullshit out of here. Never usually a problem with you guys, but we want to make sure everybody knows that we don't put up with people being abusive or hateful in chat, whether that's to other viewers or to our players regarding anything from, frankly, anything about them or their knowledge of the game or the rules, the choices they make as characters, all of that stuff. You guys are usually great, but we do want to give that heads up ahead of time to make sure nobody tries to fucking test us. Fourth, this adventure is horror themed and may contain elements that are unpleasant or disturbing. We are not aiming for excessive graphic content, but we do... in the context of a live stream, we do want to let everyone know we won't really be able to give appropriate content warnings in this campaign because much of it is improvised. The YouTube videos will have content warnings in the description when things go up, so be aware of that. They're back here playing with with backgrounds over there. And then... Fifthly, it is widely known and accepted this adventure has some problematic depictions of individuals inspired by travelers or Romani people IRL. I've done my best to look for resources online to alter those depictions to try to avoid those offensive stereotypes. But we do want to kind of caveat that. As a reminder, we do release a show on YouTube after each episode during the following week, and I guess we'll be putting this back up on the podcast feeds as well. So if you miss an episode or have to miss part of it, don't fret. You can still catch it after the fact if you need to be caught up for the next week you want to watch live. And then, of course, last thing before we get started, I'd like us to go around and remind us through the fog of these many months who you are, where you can be found on the internet, who you'll be playing tonight, and if you can remember whether or not you have chat inspiration.
Oh, Jesus.
Starting, of course, with Pinsent Vage.
Man. That's a rebrand. We love to hear it. Yeah, guys, I'm Vincent Page.
Oh, damn it. I got it wrong.
Oh, what? Oh, I was so confused with what was happening. I'm Vincent Page. I am playing Ash Fireforge, your changeling rogue. The post-traumatic stress disorder-ridden changeling rogue. It's fine. We're fine. And you can find me on the internet on Twitch and TikTok these days. Doing the streamies. We're playing Kingdom Hearts. It's fun. Keeping it funky fresh. You said that earlier and it stuck with me, so it's fine.
Funky fresh.
I do have chat inspiration after all this time.
After all this time. Okay. Alrighty. Moving on. Omega.
Oh God. Hey y'all. My name is Omega. I am playing Pita Wallhorn, the Valor Bard. God, I almost forgot what I was playing for a second.
You're gonna get a lot of that tonight, guys.
Oh my gosh. You can find me on the internet as Omega MT42 for most places. I've been very silent lately just because I have had major life changes within the past year. So, um, outside of that, though, you can find me most anywhere. So,
Excellent. Ozzy.
Hi, I'm Ozzy. I'm playing Cast Fireforge, the Dwarf Paladin tonight. I have chat inspiration. My only question, Pixel, is does this 4-month hiatus count as a long rest? Because I'm sitting at 13 hit points.
Well, we sort of ended in Media Res and will resume in Media Res. So not as of yet. Those 13 hit points stand.
Damn it.
Bonus Mom.
Hi, I am Bonus Mom. And I am playing Wanderess, the Nature Domain Cleric. And I've learned a lot through this adventure. Started out as somebody who didn't know a whole lot about being out in the world or what people were even like. And I've learned a lot. And I'm now facing serious challenges. And I invite you to go along with me and Wanderess as we continue this adventure. And I will be continuing it with chat inspiration.
So we're all inspired up. Holy
Ooh,
cow.
rough stuff.
My
Thank
goodness. Well, thank you for the gift subs stuff. You rule.
Hey, I got one of them. Thank you. Nice.
Thank you so much.
Damn,
You
you're already
rule.
subbed.
You know you don't got to do that, but we appreciate you so very much. My name is Pixel, everybody. I will be your dungeon master this evening. Very excited to be back in the DM chair for this campaign. You can find us every other week. So every other Saturday, we have our Descent into Avernus game where I am playing the illustrious #1 internet sad dad, Phoenix Brightgreen. Oh no, my camera's out of focus. But you can also find me here on twitch.tv/hammer and pixel, where I have been playing a lot of games, mostly Elden Ring, with Bonus Mom, as we mentioned before. We are trying to get her in ship shape for the DLC coming out in like a month and a half. So that having been said, my friends, and without further ado, when last we left our heroes, well, it's been a long time since we last left our heroes. I tried to route out an entire campaign recap, and found that it was, let's look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 pages long. And that seems a little bit much. So if you want to remember all the shit that's happened, that is posted in the Ages of Einor Discord. I'm going to post that link here. Welcome in, Taco, as well. Thank you for the hype train, everybody. So I'm going to try to recap a little more carefully. First thing that happened, our heroes got transported into the horrible land of Barovia. Ozzy was playing a different character known as Thorin. And Omega was playing a different character known as Onyx. That crew got
heavy casualties.
That crew got dragged in here, sucked into a haunted house. Thorin died trying to rescue children from this horrible place because souls get stuck here thanks to evil spirits. Cass showed up. They met Granny Patsy. They met Ismark in Arena. They traveled to Vallaki. On the way, they got a fortune teller reading. A lot of stuff has happened, okay? What you need to know is this. After a lot of work, they have tracked down the 3 artifacts foretold to them by Madame Ava in that very first fortune telling. They found the Tome of Strahd at a crossroads, actually not that far from Barovia, where they first met Ismark and Arena. And that told them much of the history of Strahd, how he got his curse, and some of his sort of emotional history and various things like that. They also, much later, after a whole lot of shit happened, managed to find the Sword of Sunlight hidden under a gazebo next to a pool in the village of Kretsk. And their new
where
friend...
you keep your genuine magic
Yeah, where you
artifacts,
keep your genuine
under the
magic
gazebo.
artifacts, Well, I guess that's where you keep them if you don't want Strahd to find them.
They always think
And
to check the vault in the cave, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
never the gazebo.
never the
in town.
gazebo in town.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
So their new friend PETA has been running around with that. They also here in the Amber Temple, thanks to their other new friend Chadrick Witch Stitcher, the Lich of Mount Gakis, managed to find the holy symbol of Ravenkind. Which and so that gathers all three of these powerful artifacts that they can use to fight Strahd. They also had a bit of a war council where they conferred with Erwin Martikov, Chadrick Witchstitcher, the Lich of Mount Gakis, Mordenkainen, and Esmeralda, the allies that they have with them here, and discussed their possible plans for how to move forward. Should they just launch an all-out assault, gather their forces, and launch an assault on the castle? Should they do a diversion and then have a strike team be flown in, or what exactly they should do? And so they decided that they needed more information, especially with regards to the political situation in Vallaki. So they sent Erwin Markov back to gather their allies for another meeting, and then they set about trying to really deal with a lot of sort of coincidental things that had happened. They managed to discover that the shadow that had been plaguing Cass Amblecrown, who turns out to also be Cass Fireforge, Ash's and Thorin's sister, the shadow that had been plaguing her for her entire life was none other than Menoth the Darkstar, the sort of dark twin of Wandress's goddess known as Salethiel. It was revealed to Wandress that the item that they needed to heal Onyx, Omega's former character, of his newfound vampire spawnism was concentrated starlight, which could be obtained if they were to summon Menoth the Darkstar and then banish her using the presence of Salethiel in the form of Wandress's purple shard. That would there's sort of a dialectical metaphysics thing happening where the absence of Menoth equals the presence of Salethiel because they're sort of, shadows of one another in a way. Also, they had made a deal with Menoth to get her a bunch of magic power, and then she would give them Thorin back. So a whole lot of that stuff happened, all of which happened last episode. If you've got 4.5 hours, go watch it. So that brings us back to our current moment. Our heroes stand now in the storage room full of some boxes and also some evil sarcophagi where they had summoned Menoth the Darkstar. Cass had been transported into her dark domain. Chadrick and Mordenkainen both ripped open a hole in the dimensions, and our heroes plunged in to fight these awful beings and managed to temporarily banish Menoth, acquire the spell component needed for Mordenkainen to use his wish spell to heal Onyx, and retrieve Thorin from his imprisonment within the dark domain. So, that is where we pick back up. Ash and Cass and Thorin are, I believe, in a group hug, and Wandress and PETA have just spoken with Mordenkainen, who reaffirmed that now that they have everything to bring Onyx back from vampirism, reaffirmed his intentions to do so. My friends, what would you like to do?
That's a loaded question, I feel.
That's a big question. Did we ever set so I guess the big plan is to head back to Vallaki to chat with everybody about our exact intentions on storming the castle-ish?
Yeah.
Presumably we're not doing that right this second because I think some of us need a long rest, but...
Yeah, so the last thing that had happened was... so you guys sent Erwin Martikov back to Valaki to and had you sending a number of other things to send notice to the Martikovs, Granny Patsy, Rictavio / Van Richten, the Bogdanoviches, Ismark and Arena. I think that was basically everybody. If we remember anyone else, we'll pull them in to essentially assemble for a war council at the Blue Water Inn in Valaki.
Yeah.
And
Did
so
you mention Rictavio?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Did we confirm that Chadwick won't be going with us?
I think so, yeah.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think he doesn't want to interfere with like the whole thing, because like he wants to like basically take over after like Strahd's gone. I think that's what his intention is. So
I'm sorry, who are we talking about?
Chadwick. I said, did we confirm that he would not be going out of this place to go with us?
Yes, I'm sorry, that is correct. He basically doesn't like to leave his little place here and mostly likes to voyeuristically watch people sort of faff about.
That was such a great way to explain that. I just want you to know.
As they try and fail to kill Strahd. But he really hates Strahd, so he's hoping somebody eventually wins. But even when they don't, he still has a good time.
He's just hanging out, man.
Hanging out in the Amber Temple.
Well, we
Same
get
old
faffed.
thing.
I think I'm going to
He
be
did
using
last
that.
week.
Get faffed. I think I like
Last
that.
century, I think, would have been the move there, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, yeah, I think maybe the long rest may be the move, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then
I
we're gonna-
think so.
Then we're going to head back to Valaki.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you wish, Mordenkainen will take you upstairs and allow you the use once again of his magnificent mansion, so that you don't have to, sleep in this freezing ass temple again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
DM, did Wanderers give the gem, the Starlight gem, to Mordenkainen or just show it to him?
I believe
forgot.
you just showed it to him at the end of last
Okay.
episode.
And I do not have the shard any longer. Is that correct? Do I still have the
You
shard?
don't have the purple shard any longer, but your sort of connection to Salethiel is your flower. If you recall, and you had like a little sort of white flower with a clump of stuff, and it has been changed to look sort of. It's got like purple and yellow and red and black, and looks much like her. Okay, so if you guys plan to take a long rest, Mordenkainen lets you into his mansion. Are there any conversations anyone's trying to have, or are you guys trying to kind of like, just jump back into Valaki? I mean, Ash and Thorin and Cass are reunited for the first time since, since Cass was traded to Fae. I don't know if there's any sort of aspect of that you want to interrogate, or we can just sort of jump through that night and head on to the War Council. There's certainly a lot to discuss.
I mean, I'm open to just leaving, or not leaving, but I guess like taking a long rest and then heading out.
I think in a rare degree of understanding that is something that probably Wanderers has begun to appreciate. He would move aside from the three siblings and let them have that time to settle in, and they probably want to talk, like going into the night giggling and telling stories of their fun childhoods. Anyway, Wanderers is just gonna hunker down separately and get some more sleep, because he was rolling around naked in the snow, and he did rest badly the night before.
That is true. Very true.
Okay. Melodrama starts. So
Listen,
here's the thing.
that's what you guys don't know about how I bait you into being melodramatic. It's all in the soundtrack, everybody.
It is. that is a media tool right there. We love to see it. So I do
Dense,
have
but
questions,
dense.
but I'm going to. I want to preface my next questions by totally understanding, unless you and Oz have discussed this previously, I don't think that Oz is going to know the answers to. So
Okay,
I don't know how we
sure.
want to handle that.
That's fine. Yeah, just ask your question, and then he and I can confer, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess the first, and this would just be like an on the way to wherever we're going kind of situation in the mansion. I feel like Ash would ask is like, what do you remember before, or what do you remember after the house?
What does
Death
what
House.
does Thorin remember? I
Correct.
think Thorin
Yeah.
remembers everything.
Like getting murdered?
Well, he wouldn't remember like the stuff that happens to his body, right? But I
Thank
think he
God.
would remember everything that happened to his spirit, which I think is
Okay.
probably worse than anything that happened to his body.
Yeah,
that's
honestly,
fair.
yeah.
You know, so I think as much as Thorin is like happy to be back, I also think there's a bit of like a haunted
Oh, yeah.
look. And I think you occasionally kind of like catch Thorin sort of like staring off into like the distance and like looking like seemingly watching things that the rest of you can't see, being a little jumpy. Like, I mean, yeah, Thorin is. It was bad. It was a bad time. Now I don't know how Ozzy wants Thorin to convey that to the rest of you verbally, if he does, but
Yeah, so I mean, you know, after the death house, I mean, after I died, I mean, everything just kind of went black. And then there was just suffering. You know, it was the blackest void you could think of. It's not a good place. A lot of bad things around. I'm happy I'm back, though. I mean, there are people that have been in that state for centuries. I was in it for what, a couple of weeks, maybe a month.
Something like that.
And somehow I made it out. And I mean, all those other people are still there.
yeah. And I think, not to make a slightly too on the nose reference or anything, also spoiler alert for a 15-year-old TV show, but it's very much giving like Dean Gets Back from Hell. Like,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
I hate that you had to.
Supernatural.
It's so good. But anyway, different conversation.
No, we can
our
stop. We can
characters-
stop and talk about.
Yeah,
Hey guys,
I love it.
welcome to our Supernatural podcast. We're
Yeah,
here to talk
basically.
about Destiel.
Also, I have to say our entire spiel is based off of that, but that's fine. It's cool.
They're 40 episodes in, and no one knew. Okay, don't give it away now.
I didn't even know, and I've been fucking playing it.
I think Ash would say, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. When we got to Valaki, which is no, we didn't see that from Valaki. I'm thinking of the ghosts rising up out of the graves.
Yes,
Did we
that's
see
in
that
Barovia. Yep,
That
that
is in
happened. You saw that for the
The
first time the
night.
night that Thorin died,
And
Yeah.
we burned his body.
and you burned his body to instead.
This is a whole other conversation too, isn't it? After we got out of the death house, we saw in the graveyard in Barovia that spirits were like coming up out of the ground, and obviously I didn't know where you were, and I didn't want to risk burying you here, so we did cremate you. Not gonna ask how you got your body back. We're gonna totally skip that. But
What about my head?
okay, that feels like listen, metagamer. I know you don't know about that.
All right.
You want
My
to
bad.
see?
Yeah, actually, that's
You
the
know what
guy
would
right
be
here,
really
yeah.
funny would be is if Thorin had like a big scar.
Oh God.
Just like right around the neck.
Yeah.
I'm just never living it down. When I'm in therapy in my 40s, which I should probably start before then. But anyway, this is what I'll be talking about instead of my actual life problems. There was this one time I cut my brother's head off in the death house, and then my therapist is going to send me to an asylum. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Not if they play D&D. They'll
Yeah.
understand.
They'll be like,
oh,
oh, man.
I see. You were in the death house.
Worst
I
time to
got
roll in that one, huh?
Our whole group got TPK'd. Yeah, it could turn into a great bonding session.
Yeah. Trauma bonding.
Okay.
And then I guess, like, not to ride this on out, but I guess that I would ask, Cass, kind of the same questions, like, what do you remember about being taken by the Fae? I'm sure that you don't remember them coming in and snatching up and swapping us, but like, did you grow up in the Feywilds? Is that like where you've been this whole time, or?
Yeah. You know, as I got older, I just kind of kept to myself.
Well, how did you get out? Isn't it like notoriously hard to get in and out of the Feywild? Sorry, I knew this was going to be on
Listen,
the spot.
no, yeah.
I think you went wandering in the woods one night,
And yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
there
it's-
were wolves chasing you.
Yeah.
So
And
straight
then I ended
from
up-
Feywilds to Barovia is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're a paladin, and you have a deity here, right? Helm was Thorin's deity. Who is Cass's again? And I'm sure I have it written down somewhere, but it's been 4 months.
Oh God, character sheet.
I got you.
Oh no.
No, okay.
I have it like in my character sheet. Yep, Torm.
Okay, so I think you probably found like there was a tree that was actually like a transmogrified mortal who was like a follower of Torm, who kind of like taught you the precepts, because you had that whole shadow thing, right? So like even in the Feywild, like you had this nasty juju really
Yes.
kind of following you around, and so I think that you made friends with a mortal who had been trapped there and transformed into some Fey tree creature, basically, who kind of helped teach you the ropes of hey, this can help keep the keep you to the path of light, and essentially, and you swear your oath and everything. And then, I think you began to wander farther afield, and some mysterious force drew you here.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's what happened.
And that's called storytelling, folks.
I mean, it's all I needed, honestly.
Listen, they do it the
wasn't
same way
looking
on
for
TV
anything-
shows. It's like, oh shit, we gotta fill in these gaps.
Oh,
Filler episode, here we come. Flashback time.
and this is where Goku and Piccolo got their license. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right? This is the time Goku and Piccolo got their driver's license.
Okay, yeah, that's all I had. I felt like it was questions that would be asked.
Yeah.
No,
And maybe our
100%.
friends at home wanted to know too, and now we
Sure.
know.
And now we know. Yeah, and I think the three of you sort of spend some time talking that night. But we don't necessarily hear. It's like the camera sort of sees you and pans away as you all sit in Mordenkainen's long table, and the music swells, and we don't know exactly what was said, but we know how it felt. It was warm, and hearts were full. And Wandress and PETA
We're snoring.
just sort of conked out
You guys,
elsewhere.
bro.
It's fine.
Go ahead.
God, I don't know. I guess I was probably gonna ask Wanderous about Thorin a little bit, since I really don't know anything about the guy. So
Okay, gonna ask
Oh, yeah, that's
gonna
fair.
ask Wanderous about what?
Thorin.
about Thorin.
Oh, okay. So what Wanderous would do, obviously, yes, is fill PETA in on how we all just found ourselves in the woods one night. And then Thorin was a part of the group, and they were young adventurers. And then we went through the death house and, just all of that in the detail of just the time that now we're probably the most relaxed we have been or are going to be, then yes, I think Wanderers would take time to, and probably to share a little bit more about Onyx and how much he meant to all of us, but particularly to me because he was the first person that ever touched Wanderers, that ever trusted Wanderers, whatever. So how special that was.
Yeah.
And then he would probably ask Peter if Peter thinks that Chadwick really likes him. He'd probably do that too.
I mean, I think Chadwick does have some redeeming qualities to him, but
he's so cheerful. I really admire that, Wanderers would say, as he's getting ready to hunker down and off to sleep. And he probably would have also be asking Peter a little bit more about the songs he wants to write and whatever. So just that general chitty chat when you get to know each other better in the quiet times.
Yep.
Okay. I think we also at this point see Mordenkainen, who is poring over his books, putting in this new information into his, the one piece of the missing equation. Now that they have found what that is, he is finishing off that work on his wish spell. And I also think that we see Chadwick and Esmeralda, who are I think Mordenkainen reluctantly lets Chadwick stay in his mansion. And I think we see like Esmeralda has gotten pretty tanked and Chadwick can't get drunk but is weird. And so I think they're just like, I think Chadwick has sort of like summoned and enchanted some like strings and percussion, and so they're just sort of like dancing, not in like a like really flirty way, but they're just like having their own little party while everyone else is sleeping. So
all is well, as it should be.
We're all just hanging out with our lich friend
for now.
Oh God.
Is it a D&D party if you don't make friends with a lich? I don't understand how you play this game if you don't.
Yeah, listen. Who can say? Sorry, folks. I'm trying to make sure my voice mod is connected in case you make me do fucking Chadwick voice today. No, it doesn't want to work. Shit. Please work. Okay, well, unless anybody has anything else. Damn it. Then, the next day arrives, and you find yourselves waking up in Mordenkainen's mansion. That's not what I need. Okay, I'm just gonna have to do this manually. That's fine. Okay. Sorry, folks. I'm having like a firewall issue with my voice mod controller. But yeah, so you wake up in Mordenkainen's mansion, and unless anyone has anything else they need to talk about, Mordenkainen can teleport you directly to the Blue Water Inn.
Nice. Incredible.
And I believe he's been there. Has he been there? No, I don't think he has been there. So I actually think he might need to make a roll about it.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Let's see.
God.
What spell? I gotta look at Mordenkainen here.
Rolls a 1, teleports us straight into Strahd's castle.
Exactly. This adventure could get real exciting, folks.
It could be over tonight.
It'll be over tonight. You never know. You absolutely never know.
Went in expecting filler, got
okay, teleport.
Got-
Let's see what
Yeah,
this
it did.
says. Instantly transports you and 8 willing creatures of your choice that you can see to a destination you select. If you target an object, must be able to fit entirely in a 10-foot cube. Destination you choose must be known to you, must be on the same plane of existence as you. Your familiarity with the destination determines whether you arrive there successfully. Okay, I need to look that spell up on something that I can actually read it on.
But he would be familiar with Valaki, surely. If
Let's
not the actual
see.
inn.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll a. Actually, I'm gonna have one of you roll. Who's feeling lucky today?
Sure.
All right. So, first, before you roll, it's gonna be a D100. But before you roll, let me figure out how familiar he is with this place. He was the Mad Mage of Mount Baratok, so he's definitely casually seen this place in the distance, at least. Yeah, so I think seen casually. He's not very familiar, but he has seen it. So, go ahead and hit me that D100 roll. 62 is high enough. Your goal was 54 to 100. 62 is solidly in it. So, you land on target. He teleports you. So in order to be on the same plane of existence, you have to leave his house, go into the temple. But from the temple, he is able to teleport you all directly to the Blue Water Inn, which I have to go. I haven't looked at this map in a while. I probably should have. Okay, we're just going to yeet all you guys off of there and drag you back on from your character sheets. Boom. Oh, also, Ash, you roll your thing.
Got it.
Nope, that's not right. Not that one.
Oh, I saw Onyx for a second.
I'm out here throwing the wrong characters in. Also, I tried to rebuild Thorin. He may not be exactly 100% as you remember. I did my
Close
best.
enough. Oh my god, that 12 HP though.
Right?
Oh no.
Home skillet's level 2 or 1 even. I don't even know. I think he's still level 1. Okay, so you also need Mordenkainen. Ha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha, ha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha-cha. Where is he? There he is. Blammo. Oh, he's real little. Bloop. Let's need his token to be the right size. Okay, and then you have Erwin. Mardukov is here. You had requested the presence of. Let's see. You have Esmeralda with you. You had requested the presence of Ismark and Arena. We're just filling this whole place up. You had also requested the presence of Rictavio. You'd requested the presence of
Bogdanovich.
Granny Patsy.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have to. Wait, I should have a token for Granny Patsy. Do I not?
Oh dang! Did we pull the Granny Patsy?
Ooh.
Did
Maybe
we pull the Granny Patsy?
Did I archive it?
Honestly, we got this in the bag with Granny Patsy's help.
I don't think you did a build for Granny Patsy. I think you just described her.
Oh, that's right, because all the stuff that she did in the fight. Well, we'll just drag her on here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you did do a Granny Patsy. Isn't she cute? Who
Yeah,
does she
I don't have a token for Granny Patsy, but we'll.
Yeah.
But she is here. We'll assume. And the Bogdanoviches. I don't know if I have one for Bogdanoviches either. Not that it super matters, but I may need them later, so I should know which ones I need to make. Yeah, okay, let's just grab Villager.
I mean,
No. Come on, where's this one? What? A commoner, that's the one. Here. Okay, and we'll just have that be Bogdanovich for now. Nikolai Bogdanovich. Boom. Okay, sorry about the delay there, everybody. I really should have had that prepared in advance. It's been a week, my friends. But yeah, so you guys basically, your little war council here takes up like the whole lower floor Everyone's kind of strewn about at various tables. And they are there when you arrive. It seems that the word that you had sent out was successful. Um, so who wants to start talking? Or do you need like reminders of like what you guys had kind of discussed, what the situation is? Somebody want to start asking questions? What do you got?
I have a preliminary question.
Okay.
Are we going to discuss this just in the tavern here? Is this the best place?
I don't know. I guess that's up to you guys to discuss.
Yeah, that was an out loud question to the room. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Nope, you're good.
Let me write down a note for myself on who I need to make while you guys are discussing.
So yeah, if we think this is a safe enough place, I guess we can get started. I just wanted to make sure that we're good.
I guess it depends on what Erwin thinks.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
What do you suggest, Erwin? My best friend.
Well, we know Strahd is a wizard. He has spies everywhere. He can potentially scry on us. So I don't know where in Barovia would be any safer unless you have access to some place that is not here.
Ah,
I don't. I don't have any suggestions.
So hear me out. Is this multi-dimensional manor a not here situation? Is that a thing that, or can we all even fit in there?
What about why am I trying to do his accent?
You are wondrous.
Do you suppose that Mr. Mordenkainen would let us use his tent? How many people can get in his mansion? How many people can get in Mr. Mordenkainen's mansion?
It is huge. It's sufficient food for up to 100 people.
Holy.
So it's a mansion. It is. I'd have to burn a higher level slot, but it lasts for 24 hours. So it'll certainly give us plenty of time, and if we're in there, long enough, then and we can come and go, So
Would
What
be
we
a
think?
safe place for us
That
to
feels-
rest without watches.
Yeah, I mean the very worst thing that could happen is the worst thing that could happen, and he knows exactly what we're planning to do.
or he
Not
just shows up.
Or he just shows up. I mean,
But
both
he-
of those worst case scenario.
But he can't show up inside there while we're sleeping.
No, the extra dimensional mansion is impenetrable to anyone I don't personally let in.
Yeah, I think it's going to be our safest bet. I hate to impose on the hospitality of the mansion yet again, but like, if Strahd knows what we're going to do before we even do it, then this is a pointless conversation.
Makes sense. Okay, yeah, so he had burned a 7th level spell slot to cast Teleport. He'll burn an 8th level spell slot to upcast Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion. And basically what he does, which is kind of clever, he casts it on one of the other doors in the place. So that, like, if somebody else opens that door, it just opens into the kitchen. But when he opens that door, it opens into his mansion. So he sort
Very
of
nice.
opens it up and sends everybody inside. I don't have a map for the inside of his mansion because we'll never have combat there. But you all enter, and now you are all sitting. And he has this like long rectangular table, and then you see him kind of realize that like that's not exactly that great for like this kind of sort of group discussion with this many people. So he sort of like waves his hand, and the table like becomes like a U shape sort of thing where everyone can see each other better. And he sets his various. He's like, there's like 100 unseen servants in this place, and they just start bringing out, paper and maps of Barovia and like notes and like quills and water and food and stuff.
We got organized up in this. That's what happened. We got.
You're in
pointers.
you're in the interdimensional conference room, ready to go. The interdimensional AV guy has come in and hooked up the laptop, so the presentation will
We're
definitely
ready for
run.
our Zoom call.
Yeah, presentation will definitely run. Granny Patsy has to zoom in from her home dimension, but she's sort of she keeps muting herself.
Oh no.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, so everyone sort of sits and looks expectantly. You have at least hopefully circumvented one possible, avenue of Strahd gaining direct information about what your plans are.
Listen, if nobody else is going to say something, I'll say something, but I don't want to step on
Listen.
toes here.
Nope, you go for it.
I think
We're
it's you,
looking at
baby.
you, bud.
All right. It's fine. I got it. Nobody panic. Okay, so Ash is going to stand up, noticing that none of their friends are going to stand up and take charge. I'm really bad at this. I want to go ahead and say, but the first thing I want to say is thank you guys so much for coming. I know that putting yourselves at risk, the people around you at risk, even contemplating what we're fixing to do. So thank you for being here. I'm not sure how much Erwin has said to you all about what we've been planning, but we have a couple of different plans we wanted to kind of throw at you guys to see what you thought, and we'll see what sticks. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is our good friend Mordenkainen here has come to this realm way before we have, and I think that it's safe to say that maybe a full frontal assault is not the thing that we want to do. That's what we had happen last time, and our friend, no offense, ended up roaming around dirty and in the woods for about a year. So I think that maybe that's off the table. We have some new information about kind of the layout of Strahd's castle that I don't think that we had previously, and what I think that we're thinking, and Ash is going to look to everybody, is maybe we have a distraction force that tries to pull Strahd from his castle, and a small force of folks go in a secret way and try to figure out what the source of his home's power is, and maybe take that off the table. And then obviously if we can find where he rests, we can take him out, in theory. We don't come to you guys with nothing. We're not going into this with absolutely nothing. And we have found some artifacts that we think will help us take him out. Ash will pull out the book, which I think they still have. We now know more about Strahd than we ever did. Ash will gesture to Peter. We have a weapon that we know will hurt him.
I'll raise the weapon.
No, I'm just kidding.
And then I don't know who has the amulet of whatever it's called, but
I have it.
okay,
The holy
then we
symbol of
have,
Ravenkind, yeah.
and actually don't even remember what that does. That causes sunlight, or what else does it do? It does a bunch. It can do a bunch of different
So
things. Right?
you should have a note. It's called the holy symbol of
Yep.
Ravenkind.
Yeah, we can find that
Let's
here real
see. It is a requires attunement by a cleric or paladin of good alignment. So paladin counts there. You can so it has 10 charges and can take the following actions. As an action, you can spend 1 charge and present the holy symbol. And vampires and vampire spawn within 30 feet must make wisdom saving throws. On fail, they are paralyzed for 1 minute. They can repeat the saving throw at their end of their turn. So that's basically like hold person for vampires for 1 charge.
Right.
So you can do 10 hold vampires per day. You can turn undead. If you have turn undead or turn the unholy, which paladins do, expend 3 charges while using that feature. When you do so, undead have disadvantage on their saving throws. So if you can already turn undead or turn the unholy, you can impose disadvantage on your targets using 3 of the charges. And then as an action, you can expend 5 charges to make it shed bright light for 30 feet and dim light for 30 feet. The light is sunlight and lasts for 10 minutes or until you end the effect. So.
Okay, well,
it's basically,
paraphrasing.
And that takes 5 charges. So it's,
Right.
Yeah.
We have these artifacts, and we think that they'll give us the edge that we need to finally take him out. I would love to hear anybody's thoughts on potential strategies for distracting him. We don't quite have that figured out. You guys are the ones that call this place home. I think that you'll maybe have a bit more of a advantage in coming up with some potential plans on that. Wondrous, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So sorry, I was typing a note for me
good.
to remember to do some stuff later.
I think Wondrous did a hand race. So what's happening?
I'm not sure that this is even in Wondrous's thought banks. Okay, this is maybe more bonus mom than Wondrous, but I'm gonna try to fake it. I think that Wondrous might step forward and say, although I don't know very much about Strahd, one of the first things that we experienced was how much he was interested in the lovely
Irina.
And I just wondered, because some of us can change our appearances, or we could, help disguise somebody or something. If the distraction had to do with Irina or someone that looked like her, if that would be a thing that might pull Strahd out of the castle, like if the villagers in the uproar here of this town or maybe if we took the woman that they think, the member of the high woman that they think is powerful in the town now and might
Fiona
be connected,
Wachter.
If something like some of the villagers who were willing to do that, maybe with some of you in this room merged in around them, would be involved in something that would pull Strahd out of the castle, then those of us who have the things that we think, because one of the things that Mr. Mordenkainen has discovered is that Strahd is most powerful at all in the castle. No, yeah. And if we get him out of the castle, he's not as powerful. So the chance of us to go in to find out where he sleeps, to find Onyx, to hopefully cure Onyx, the whole thing, and then be, waiting to trap Strahd if he tries to come back to the castle or whatever. So in other words, using the villagers to distract the Strahd. And leaving the elite force to sneak in.
Right, so as you recall, and of course your characters would recall this information, but I'm going to spell it out again just to make sure everyone remembers. As you recall, the political situation here in Vallaki is curious, yes. There are more or less 3 factions. There are Fiona Wachter is the last person in town who has some claim to local nobility, and she has long been critical of the former burgomaster, which raises her in the estimation of some of the townsfolk, although her rumored ties to Strahd make others a little more wary of her. And then there are a small group, but well-armed, of loyalists to the old burgomaster. You'll recall, in the sort of sway of a man, Isaac Stronzi. He is not well-liked and not particularly charismatic or bright, but he is powerful. He was the strong arm of the previous burgomaster, and abandoned him before the mob came, and But he and some of the Old Town Guard have managed to retain some sway among certain groups. And then, of course, there are those who... I mean, many people are afraid of, frankly, all of the different groups and seem to want to stay out of it. But there is also a small group with... and he gestures over to Ismark in the church with Ismark and others. And that was so. If your goal is to have the townsfolk do things, something of this trouble will need to be accounted for. Whether or not it is resolved, or if you leave the factions to do as they will, is up to you. But it will make some play in your ability to draw however many people to your cause. I also, they are not trained warriors, and I suspect that. If we make an assault on the castle, it's hard to say how Strahd will respond. Based on the encounter that he nods at Mordenkainen that you had when you lost your friend Onyx, he seems to be able to bring quite a force of creatures to bear when he wishes. And if I hesitate to think that peasants armed with pitchforks would do much good against skeletons and zombies and ghouls, but I don't know. That simply remains to be taken into account. So it's not that I don't think people will follow you if you ask, but you should be mindful of what it is you ask them to do and face.
What about, since we think there might be spies, if there was a rumor of something started, like an engagement or a wedding between Irina and someone else, and there was going to be some sort of celebration somewhere that might draw Strahd out? It wouldn't even really have to happen. It could be, we could make a pretend celebration. We might not even have real people there. But if he came upon it, it might get him out of the castle long enough to do some good. Although I'm sure he can travel instantaneously, as can we. But that is a point to be made, as can we.
Well, on that point, the Mordenkainen speaks up here. You know what? I don't know if it's just because he was, tracking you or because he was abducting Onyx in the end, but you say you think he can travel instantaneously, but I'm actually not completely sure that's true. We haven't seen him do that. We have seen him take the form of a bat and fly, which is certainly faster than walking or riding, and he has, as I understand it, a steed he is occasionally seen riding along the roads, but I'm not sure I've seen him in my encounters with him. Hang on a second. I need to look up his stat block. Yeah, I'm not actually sure I've seen him cast a spell that's higher than 4th or 5th level. He would say that in a way that makes sense, but I'm not sure I think his undead curse and whatever he has in his castle gives him more power than I think the magic helps him punch above his weight class as a creature, but I don't believe he is as prodigious a caster as perhaps someone who has fully dedicated themselves to that.
So let me look at this real quick. Only for a minute. Okay. I hesitate to even suggest this, but I think even better then a fake wedding would be a real one.
Yeah, I agree with that. We could do it in the church.
What if Arena agreed to marry Strahd?
That's risky because
Hear me out. What if Arena agrees to marry Strahd, but she demands that they do it here in town? Or I even would say maybe they have to travel to somebody help me. Next town
Kretsk.
west. Kretsk.
Las Vegas.
Even further away. We already have a dress for this zombie lady that the angel guys created, right? Maybe we tell Strahd that Arena will marry him if they can have the wedding there. And while that's going on, we have people obviously around you to protect you and make sure nothing goes wrong. That may, in fact, give us just enough time to find everything that we need to kill him before anything bad happens. Obviously, he'll have to come home for us to actually kill him, but I have a sneaking hunch that once we go to poking around his castle, he's going to know that something's up, and he's going to be in a hurry to get back, to get to us before we actually do it. And maybe that's where you guys come in. I don't want to ask untrained civilians to give up their life necessarily, but maybe anybody who's willing to volunteer to hold him off as long as possible. We try to keep him in Kretsk as long as possible and just give us the largest window that we can get. Obviously, all this has to happen under your consent, Arena. I would never ask you to do this unless you were willing to go along with it. But it's just an idea.
Yeah, I think Arena speaks up and says, I don't know that the plan is without merit entirely, but I mean, the four of you, and, she nods at Mordenkainen, are certainly the only people we have who stand much of a chance. I mean, Ismark, Van Richten, Esmeralda, and Mordenkainen, might be able to hold him off, but I don't know. I just worry.
The very last thing I want to see is anybody in this room get hurt. So maybe if there was a contingency plan to get everybody out safely, if things got too bad. Because, I mean, you're right. He could fly into a rage and start just blasting, I suppose. I guess I'm basing this off of my assumption of what he will do. If he really feels such a strong connection to this castle, then one would have to think that he's going to know when things start going funky in there. So I guess I base my assumption off he'll want to get back to protect his home as quickly as possible, especially if we go to poking around his coffin or crypt or nest or whatever the hells you would call what he sleeps in. It is risky. It's just my first thought, I suppose.
Ash, when we were in the mayor's house and you did whatever it was that you did and you looked like Arena, I can't remember. Did that fool Strahd?
For a moment, but unfortunately, I think he caught on after a little bit. Out of game, meaning I rolled shitty and he found me out. But yeah.
But if he were traveling to a place and then had to return home and he cannot do it instantly, then would not a moment be enough and it could remove Arena from the line of fire?
That's an idea. Maybe, again, risky because, like, if he finds me out, then our window goes from wide open to just a crack. But again, with Mordenkainen, if we could instantaneously travel to the castle, that would give us a lead on him for sure.
It would drained so much power from Honorable Mr. Morton Kanan. I wonder if there's anyone else here in this town or that anyone knows of that has that same ability that you do.
What ability are you asking about? Sorry, I was
That
prepping
thing that
things.
somehow Ash can do, that sometimes he's Ash and sometimes he's a Lady Ash.
Oh, is there another changeling? Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know that he's open with everybody here about it, but Van Richten, as you'll recall, also was a changeling, yes.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I
Rictavio
don't
was
think-
his persona, but
I don't think that Wanderous knows that.
I don't know if you do or not. I don't know if you guys
And
talked
so
about
I think that's a conversation that Ash and Rictavio had.
I mean, I don't.
Well, what does Ismark say when they start offering up his sister for this little jaunt?
that. I mean, he doesn't look. His whole thing was wanting to keep her safe, so he doesn't look too happy about the idea of his sister being anywhere Strahd is without, as many people. Like, I think, just to sort of like cut through. So it's like, I think if you planned, like, we're gonna say we're gonna do the wedding and we're all gonna be there and we're gonna ambush Strahd and fight anyone he brings with him. I think he and others might be more on board with that idea than the idea of we're going to send like our strongest people off to go investigate the castle while leaving the B team behind, and like Rictavio and Esmeralda and Morton Kanan are strong, and actually Ismark's they're all actually they make a pretty strong adventuring party, honestly. Plus there's the Martikovs and the Ravens, but if he brings a big crew of undead like he did to that fight with you guys, he's still, and also, he's still chewing through stuff. And you also don't know if he would even agree to that, because he's not stupid. Obviously, he wants, Irina, but, like, he's been chasing her, and then she's kind of gone to ground in a place he can't reach to, and then all of a sudden she's like, hey, big boy, let's do this. He's like, oh, that's a trap.
I
You know what I
actually
mean?
do have a
Like,
thought about that, though, right? So let's take into consideration, and this will be in character just for context. Let's also take into consideration all these factions that are fighting for power in this town right now. Let's take Kretsk off the table. All right, let's look at our current position here. You have the lady who might already be in Strahd's pocket. You got the muscle from the last guy, and you got people who think Ismark would be a good burgomaster because, obviously your guys' father was the burgomaster in Barovia itself. It could be a political play, right? Like maybe, obviously, if we're just like, oh, out of nowhere, I'm so ready to, just tie the knot here. But like, what if you're like, you say that he has to sweeten the deal by giving you the position of burgomaster, and like, am I making sense here? Would it make more sense if it's like, hey, listen, we've had some thoughts, and like, people are saying that I should be burgomaster, but we really need the backup. What better backup than the devil himself,
I just like I don't really know how like trying to bargain with Strahd would go. I mean, like he likes to toy with things. And then he just takes what he wants and then kills whoever's left. I mean, I guess there's a chance, but I just feel like, yeah, I mean, that's really my biggest thing about it is like, I don't know that like trying to bargain with Strahd, even to trick him, would work just because I feel like he sees Irina out in the open. I mean, like, and if she says, hey, I'll marry you on these conditions, he's going to be like, nah, screw those conditions. I'm taking you and we're going to do it my way.
With that being said, and I hate to say this in this light, but unfortunately, Arena is the best bargaining chip that we have. And holding up the book, Ash will say, we know that his infatuation with Arena begins with he's like reminded of this long lost love that he'll never have again, right? And underneath this entire awful facade that he has, which isn't a facade, but this exterior, is we know that more than anything, that's what he desired in his life, is to be with this woman that his brother married. I totally agree with you, though. I understand that bargaining with Strahd is an extremely risky play, but the only other option that I'm seeing, and I would love to hear if anybody has anything else, is a full frontal assault with peasants and anybody here who's willing to do so. And we know how that happened, how that turned out the last time. And the very last thing we want to do is have people fight him near his seat of power, which we know is infinitely worse than fighting him out in the field.
Right, but I feel like that has to be a contingency. I mean, I think we're kind of on the right track, but there needs to be a contingency in place for if we have to fight him in the castle. Like, if we go through this and he wants to have the wedding in the castle, like, there has to be a contingency for if we have to fight him in the castle. And who knows, maybe he would give us invitations.
I think
because
that's
it seems
why,
like the thing he would do.
I think that's why I like the idea of the rumor. And you mentioning the political thing, which I don't know very much about. But what if the political resolution of the town was going to be because Arena was going to marry someone in one of these factions, even if they were taking her by force, and the rumor was allowed to reach Strahd? Could he keep from investigating it? And if it were a sham and an imaginary thing, we might have to sacrifice the Blue Tavern or something. But how long would we have to fool him to gain the edge that we want? And if it were fake and there was nobody that had to be defended in the fake place, then all the strong people could be at the castle to meet him when he comes back.
I think at this point, Rictavio pipes up and says, well, it seems to me that if you are making a trap, that indeed Arena is the best bait you have. I myself have slain many vampires, though none as powerful as this one. And I can tell you that if they are badly injured enough, what? No. Sorry, my computer's doing weird shit. If they are badly injured enough, they retreat to their place of rest, and it does take them some time to constitute themselves again. On the order of, I don't know, some hours to days, perhaps? So, I think the idea of luring him out and any group that comes into contact with him that doesn't have the four of you in it, with your magical artifacts, specifically, capable of dealing maximum damage to him, I think among the more capable individuals here, we might be able to hold him off or even drive him to ground, but it also depends on what sort of contingent he has with him, of course. So I'm just, I don't know, just questioning sort of what kind of the plan of luring him out and then investigating his castle while he's gone. You might be able to accomplish something similar just by driving him to his resting place and investigating his castle while he is in the process of rejuvenating.
So maybe, and absolutely, if we had a guaranteed amount of time, this would be great. And understand that that's not how this works. Days would be perfect. But then what if we travel back to Barovia, which is the closest to his castle, right? It'll take us an hour tops to get from Barovia to the castle. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but
sure, I can measure it for you. And you're in, you mean Vallaki to the castle, right? Because you are currently...
I meant draw him out to Barovia, us travel to Barovia, lure him out. Because that's going to be the closest place to the castle without being at the castle, right?
Yeah.
Probably. It might be about equidistant. Let me check here.
That's obviously important. It depends, I guess.
Straight line distance is shorter, but yeah.
Yeah. The road says that it is it's about 10.5 miles from Vallaki to the castle. And it also depends on, like, are you walking, flying? How do you plan to go? Also, from Barovia, are you trying to go through the shortcut where the Vistani camp is, or around the long way?
Well, obviously, I think that the shortcut would be where we want to go. But I guess that's another thing that Ash would need to bring up is we know that there's got to be a secret underground way into the castle, right? I think that we kind of figured
so it's
that out
about
from
10 miles using the shortcut and 10.5 miles. So it's really half a mile difference either way.
Okay.
By foot. So it's not a huge change. Sorry, continue. You're talking about the secret underground possible way.
If we had any more information about where that was at, then maybe we could pick a battleground near that. I worry about maximizing our window of opportunity to make this happen. Because once we're in the castle, that's end game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is our one shot. And if we fuck up, it's over. So I just want to make sure that we're giving ourselves ample opportunity, no matter what we choose to be there. That's the only reason I'm kind of being like super anal about this, is putting ourselves in the position to get there as quickly as possible. If the plan is now to draw him out, us all kind of, attack him with the full of our force and then try to find him in his castle. Because we also have to consider that there's something magical happening with the castle to begin with, right? Is this thing seems to be, I lean to use the word semi-sentient. And then let's look at the checklist of things that we're looking to do once we get to the castle. Is we need to figure out what is giving it that power, which gods only know how long that will take. We have to find Onyx and cure him. How long does it take to use this wish spell? Which we'll have to have Mordekainen with us to even accomplish. Unless, of course, when he brings Onyx out, and if he brings Onyx with him out in the field and we're able to do this mid-combat, I guess we need more information on that. But then also we're looking to find his resting place and figure out a way, which we have a way to hold him there and end him there. We just got to get there. Am I hitting the mark here?
No, pretty much. I mean, the best way to maximize our time, and no one's going to want to hear this, but the best way to maximize our time we have after we, beat him is to fight him in the castle. On the flip side, he's a lot stronger there, but
I suppose that is an option. Well, and do we know? I guess nobody is going to know the answer to this question, because who in the world's done this before? But, like, if we beat him in the castle, does that shut the castle's defenses down? Like, does he have to be conscious and making conscious decisions for that to even work?
I'm going to assume.
Sorry.
No.
Mordekainen pipes up. Sorry, what exactly do you mean by castle's defenses?
So we know that from what we've gathered, I'm assuming what we know is he's strongest in his castle, and the castle seems to, you know what I mean? It seems to have some sort of magical defenses, right? Like we can't scry into there, can we?
I don't think you've tried.
Oh.
Actually. No, so it specifically doesn't because Chadrick scries into there all the time.
Oh.
And told you that. So, it might be possible that he has some protected areas in it. But no, I don't think you, I think you get the sense that the castle is probably full of nasty undead shit and, like it has defenses. It probably has people that he's turned into vampire spawn. And if he has, Vistani or wolves that he can call or bats or just monsters, it's like has stuff in it. But I don't think you think that there's like a, that the castle itself can repel you. I don't, because, and Morton Kanan would know that and kind of convey that to you when he fought him.
Okay.
It's more so that like Strahd's connection to like something in the castle was giving him a larger like well of vitality basically than he should have had access to. You know what I mean? Like if you're like Morton Kanan's an experienced wizard and an adventurer, he knows how many fireballs a vampire can take, and then he dishes out a certain amount of damage on Strahd and he's not down, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, and now it's a battle of attrition. And even as a wizard, he's like, he didn't have, he couldn't go the distance because Strahd, it seemed, had a little extra zhuzh, you know what I mean? So, that is maybe, yeah,
I see. So maybe let's take a step back and reevaluate.
Also, the wish spell casting time is a single action.
Okay, so if we're faced with Onyx, it's a one and done. We got it, no problem.
Yeah, I do believe. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, so I believe in this case it would need to be a touch spell for him. And it would also cause a pretty intense amount of stress because like I think the only spell that would fix Onyx naturally is True Resurrection, right? Which I think is a 9th level spell. So I don't believe so since it's another 9th level spell, which can only recreate the spell effects of 8th level or lower spells. If you do anything else with it, like try to recreate a 9th level spell, it causes like a bunch of stress to the wielder, right? So the other thing to keep in mind is Morton Kanan, if he fixes Onyx, is more or less out of commission, basically. I'm gonna just put this in chat so you kind of can see what that is necessary, but it says the stress of casting the spell to produce any effect other than duplicating another spell weakens you after enduring that stress. Each time you cast a spell, until you finish a long rest, you take necrotic damage. So it's like he wouldn't be able to cast more spells. This damage can't be reduced or prevented in any way. In addition, your strength drops to 3 if it is at 3 or lower already for 2d4 days. For each of those days you spend resting, it increases. Finally, there's a 33% chance that you are unable to cast the wish spell ever again if you suffer the stress, right?
Okay.
So that should also be part of your calculus, is like if you get the shot to cure Onyx, he also basically is going to be out of commission from that point forward. Now, Onyx might be back in the fight, but he's also not an archmage. So those are,
So holy crap. All right.
Sorry, I know there's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts.
No, it's fine.
Here. Welcome to Planning and Dragons, everybody.
Van Richten.
No, I'm asking chat for ideas. I'm not getting a lot.
Asheville, Van Richten.
Yes.
We have the ability to paralyze a vampire for about a minute.
All right.
If we were to be faced, who knows if this even works on Strahd? We would hope so, because part of my plan, I'll just be upfront with you guys, is if we can catch him in his crypt, super awesome if we had the contingency of like we could paralyze him for a minute to get to his coffin and take him out. But anyway, if we were to come across Onyx and we paralyzed him for a minute with our amulet, what other means are there to hold a vampire until we get a free moment for Mordenkainen to cast a spell to fix him?
Well, okay. The only thing I can think of is that a stake to the heart actually paralyzes a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And until the stake is removed.
And as long as we don't stake Onyx in whatever his new resting place is, that won't permanently put him off the board, right?
Right.
So what if we had maybe that's the plan then. Instead of casting Wish as soon as we find Onyx, we paralyze him once, paralyze him twice, put him to the side until we can get back around to him, and that keeps Mordenkainen in the fight longer.
Right. I should also say that some of the tools you have at your disposal capable of creating sunlight are extremely deadly, and depending on circumstances might actually prevent some of his ability to escape and regenerate. He might be able to be destroyed, directly.
Without even taking him into the crypt?
Yes. But he also, if he knows you have any of those things, and I'm not sure if he does, that would make it very difficult to lure him out as well. I suppose that should be taken into consideration. But yes, if he's not in sunlight or running water and is damaged severely, he can turn into mist. But if he is in sunlight or running water, then he is unable to transform. And if they are unable to transform, they're destroyed. I have managed to catch one or two of them unawares and perform such a feat from time to time. I imagine it will be difficult. He's crafty, but
Okay.
I suppose it's also possible. I guess what I'm saying is it's also possible that you might not need to do any of this with the tools you now possess. You might be able to just kick in his front door and kick his ass. I don't know.
So maybe full frontal assault is the way.
This is the way.
I guess. Go ahead.
I mean, we have how many? Like, we have all of the artifacts, right? So, I mean, I feel like that's that will give us a leg up in regards to any, I guess, like in fighting Strahd, whether it be on his home turf or somewhere else. So, I think we have a fighting chance either way. It may be a little bit tougher on his home turf, but I don't see why we couldn't do it.
I mean, I definitely think that's our best chance.
I worry about the charges of the amulet, right? It's like, how long does the sun last? Let me look at this again.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, if we burn 5 charges, drop sunlight right on his head, and then if he tries to run out of it, use the rest of the charges to
Hold him.
Is it 1 charge per hold, or is that the 3 one?
It's 1 charge per hold.
So then we'd have 5 chances just to hold him there.
Well, and the sun sword emits sunlight as well in a 15
Yep.
to actually in a 30-foot radius.
Yeah, 30-foot radius up
And
to
you can
30-foot radius for
expand
the
it.
sword.
Yeah, you can expand it as well. So like you have 2, and the sun sword doesn't have a limit on the length it can produce sunlight.
And I can hold person, so I could be a backup if anything were going wrong and we needed another attack.
Will hold person work on Strahd?
Strahd is an undead. I don't think that it will. Let me check.
It says a
Does hold
humanoid.
person work on undead? No. Is the answer. So the
It's
the
a good
only
plan.
hold
I was worried
Yeah.
that it wouldn't work on Strahd himself.
But
Red Hole
I also
monster.
have turn undead.
right.
We're talking about paralyzing Onyx, but I also have the chance of just like casting turn undead, and if it's successful, he'll just try to get away from us, which might put him out of the battle. So that's like a backup.
Well, gosh. It seems like
No
we've run
one
in
else-
circles for next to no reason then.
Everyone else has failed, but they haven't had what we had. Well, it's just not knowing. He just seems so omnipotent. We've all been up, had some experience with him, and he's just so terrifying and seems so strong. Of course, we want to make the best plan. But you make a very strong point about just going, and I think that would suit all of us, would certainly keep Arena and the villagers out of trouble, out of danger, and that would be the best. Perhaps we could leave our group of friendly villagers knowing that after we do this and when we come back, we're going to help them stabilize the town. Then that would give them encouragement to stand up against the woman and not to start a fight, but we could just encourage them and they would support us. But we need to do something, and we need to go ahead and do it. We're just giving Strahd more time to figure out what we're up to. I think we possibly defer to the man who has fought Strahd before and lost. What would he recommend, knowing what we have?
Well, Rictavio here is the vampire expert. I have come across them, I suppose, but it's no specialty of mine. So if he thinks those artifacts are up to the task, perhaps, I will need to travel with you to cure Onyx. But I know several others have pledged to aid you, but perhaps it makes more sense to have them attempt to resolve things here. Ismark, Rictavio, and Esmeralda are all capable in their own right. And there are the Mardikovs and the Ravens able to maybe assist. Perhaps they can resolve the rest of this. But then again, I don't know, maybe it makes sense to put all your eggs in the attack the castle basket and take all of them with you.
I guess the thing to consider is if the political situation here were to go not our way, then whoever's in charge of the city could very well send all of whatever forces this town has at our backs. And then we're having to defend from what are essentially innocent townspeople and Strahd himself.
That is... Uh-oh, we lost somebody.
Bye.
Oh no. Hang on, folks. I'll just pop over to the Zoom. There we go. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Sorry.
All right, these things happen. Bam, got everybody back in the right place. Okay. I suppose the other alternative is to just take the time to resolve things here and then just attack the castle. It's possible that if he gets wind that something's happening here, he'll come out and fight you, but honestly, that is better for you.
Seems to be the plan. Yeah, that seems to be the plan anyway.
That would be a blunder on his part, and maybe out in the open he might have a better chance of getting out of your sunlight and escaping, but seems foolish. So perhaps just take the time to resolve things, consolidate here in Vallaki, and then take the fight to him.
Then I guess the only other thing we have to discuss is legitimate combat plans and how we want to utilize the artifacts and our contingencies for Onyx, because that seems to be the biggest casualty we're looking to avoid, only because he's kind of our guy on the inside who is right in the middle, going to be right in the middle of the fire if Strahd even brings him. Obviously, if we have a couple of people focusing, perhaps, holding him in whatever means we have necessary to be cured later. So maybe let's assume for the moment the plan is to resolve the political situation here. That way, off of our plate, not worried about getting attacked from behind. Let's say Strahd shows up in the middle of it, which maybe it's likely, maybe it's unlikely, but maybe Esmeralda and Van Richten, if I could count you guys to help us subdue Onyx. That way he doesn't end up in the crossfire. Maybe that's our go. What does everybody else think?
I mean, yeah, I think it's important that we try to get Onyx at least away from the fighting if possible. That way we can focus on what we need to do. And that way we don't have him as a casualty in what we are going to be doing.
So I guess let's just put it to a vote. All in favor of full frontal assault after we try to resolve the political situation?
Yeah, I'm down.
I think it's the simplest.
I think that Ash would also give the other people in the room a chance to, weigh in, of course, if they think that's a good plan.
Yeah, I think Erwin speaks up and says it certainly makes sense to me to resolve this.
This also puts your family in a safer position, which I didn't even. That's my bad.
And if what they are saying is true about the artifacts you hold, I think that bodes well. And yeah, I think if the assessment is that you're capable of dealing with him, should he show up, in his castle at this point, then perhaps, it seems almost a certainty that somewhere out in the field where he is weaker, it's maybe he gets away, maybe he doesn't, but it seems hard to think that you would be less able to kill him where he is weaker, yeah? So, but it also consolidates, and I do agree it prevents, if the Walkers took control, and if their rumored ties to Strahd are true, it's possible you could find yourself, with nowhere to run. If things go badly in the castle or something. Or they might even, provide support. That's hard to say. Yeah, but as you kind of discuss this, it seems like everyone is pretty amenable to that sort of approach.
I guess that the final question is what puts this political situation in our favor the most? Erwin, Ismark, is this even something you would want, is to take over as burgomaster?
Well, I think the question of what becomes of this whole land when he is gone is open-ended, if that makes sense. I know that my claim to administer Barovia, the town, would certainly be seen as legitimate. Either myself or my sister could certainly make an argument for either place. But, Mr. Martikov himself here might be a good candidate as well. I know the birds have been largely less visible up until now, but I don't know that there's any reason to why either myself or my sister would have to stay here. But if that's what the people of this town will accede to, then I honestly had never really considered what my life might be like should we succeed. It seemed such a fool's errand even to make the attempt. So, I don't know. I find myself surprised to actually be contemplating it seriously. But if that works and makes our maneuvering easier, I certainly am willing to accept, and I suppose it doesn't have to be permanent either. I could always step down in the future if we're successful and something else is more important for me to be doing.
Well, as far as the next steps in resolving what's going on here, I will have to be told what I can do to help, because the answer is not clear to me. So if the idea is to all of us put our claim behind Ismark's claim and do whatever we can to help there, that's fine. If we think there's another faction that fits better, or even if you, Erwin, if you think that that's something that would work out best for you. But I can't say myself what the best route is.
I think in the short term, firstly, I appreciate Mr. Kolyanovich's vote of confidence. I think in the short term, Ismark makes the most sense, having participated in the incidents at the Church of St. Andrel and the work he and his sister have been doing, taking care of Yeska and the others who are sheltered there. I think for the time being certainly brings him a measure of stature as a community leader that I think we should capitalize upon. As far as, what to do the day after the devil is dead, well, I believe that is a castle we can burn when we come to it, yes?
I agree. Well, I guess if that's the plan, what's our first step?
I have been thinking about this over the last day or so since I left the temple. I think the move, honestly, would be to move on Izek Stranzi. To declare openly our intent to have Ismark as the at least interim burgomaster or something of that nature, and our intent to liberate this town from the shadow of Castle Ravenloft and Strahd, I think will force the hand of the other factions to move. It is my belief that the group assembled here, more than capable of standing against them. I think Izek is likely to be the one capable of mobilizing the soonest, and as the sort of strong man and the one with the ties to the former thugs of the previous burgomaster, I think if he is taken out, it becomes very hard for Miss Wachter to levy any real resistance. She might go back to her same sort of open discontent that she exhibited under the previous burgomaster, but as we saw, that was hardly effective to remove him until he made a rather serious blunder.
Excellent. I believe that we're here to help.
Okay, well,
Wondrous.
go ahead.
If we've resolved the plan, there's one more thing Wondrous was going to do.
Go for it.
Wondrous would slowly get to his feet and look at the members of his party in particular and say, I must say this. Onyx is my first and dearest friend, and I want us to save him more than almost anything. But as Ash and Kaz had to make a difficult decision to do what they could to help Thorin, but they had to make, possibly they might have to make a more difficult decision. I think we must face that with Onyx. And it breaks my heart to say it, but we cannot risk all of this because we only want to save one person. Cass faced that tough decision and fought against it, and we convinced him the trust in us that he should move forward. We knew something you didn't, Cass. We knew the tool that I had, but we don't know with Onyx. And he would sit back down.
I mean, you're right. We'll do everything that we can, but we can't throw away this entire country's future just for... He wouldn't want that.
No.
But it's not going to end that way.
It's not. I think, we do what we can. Priority 1, kill Strahd. Priority 2, save Onyx. And then it'll all work itself out how it's supposed to work out.
Yeah, let's get started on getting a new burgomaster.
Right. Ismark, of course, speaks up at this point. So, all right. How do we exactly want to go about doing that? Erwin suggested that we simply declare my intent to ascend to the position, at least temporarily, and then wait to field the reactions from our opposition. I suppose it's possible we could take a more proactive stance. What do you think? I mean, then we could also, I suppose, I can't imagine that knowing what we know about Ezek and his crew, that they are comporting themselves in a admirable way. So perhaps we could cast about for some unpopular action on their part to respond to, is another option if we wanted to be a little more active with it. I'm ambivalent, I suppose. What do the rest of you think?
Just to clarify, our options is to just straight up go up and talk to him and be like, hey, listen, this is what we're about to do, and deal with the consequences as they come? Or we strong arm this guy?
Yeah, so I
could
think
just strong arm the strong
basically,
arm, you know?
yeah, basically what's been, well, you have, and obviously feel free to come up with your own ideas here. What's been floated by Erwin was to just basically gather townsfolk at the church and say like, hey everybody, we've decided Ismark's going to be in charge, and then the people who don't want Ismark to be in charge are going to do something about that, right? And if it's Ezek Stronzi, who is known to be, a big violent asshole, he's probably going to try to militarily do something about that, and then you just stop him, right? Alternatively, Ismark is suggesting if you don't want to just wait to see how he responds, because it is possible that he and Wachter could try to coordinate a response, although that's kind of unlikely. They don't like each other. But he was saying that, like, well, Ismark and his bullies are probably being dicks to people, so maybe we could, like, put some feelers out and see if there's something that we could confront him about. Because he's like, we could get some legitimacy if it's like, oh, you beat this guy up, or you killed this guy, or you are squatting in this house, or like you're doing something that the people wouldn't like. So now, as part of our claiming that I'm going to be the burgomaster and restore order, we're going to, like, stop you from doing whatever it is that, or whatever unpopular shit you were doing. Or, basically look for some reason to justify just attacking him, basically. And assuming that you would find one because he's an asshole and he's probably being shitty to people. So it's like, but again, you guys can feel free to come up with any other thing. Those are just sort of two avenues that the folks who've been here for a while floated. But really, any interesting or creative ideas you might have about how to go about the whole process are open. They're sort of kickstarting the discussion.
So, I mean, I think that, and this is just my opinion, that both can be the option, right? I think that the number one thing we need to do is let Ismark paint himself in the public's eyes, somebody who has the right ideas. And I mean, we know that he's on the right side, and we know all he has to do is let them know, right? So maybe this is getting way too real. Maybe we have a speech planned for Ismark at the church, and we try to get as many people involved as possible. We stand by as the, secret service situation, and try to protect him from anybody who decides that they want to mess with that. But then maybe we sneak around in. Yeah, I knew you'd like that. That's exactly why we're going down this avenue. But then also try to dig up some dirt on some of these folks and use that as fire against them, right?
Put it in the speech.
In the speech.
In the speech.
Nothing like a good old smear campaign.
That's right.
This is becoming a whole new game. All right, which media outlet are we leaking to that Ismark is very upset that Ezek is
Raven Twitter. We've decided earlier in the night.
Well, I mean, it seems like for Wachter is, I mean, the lines write themselves practically. Her rumored association with Strahd. Perhaps we could find some evidence to back that up. Seems very simple. I don't know if surprises anyone, but Strahd, despite being quite fearsome, is not popular at all here. Everyone fucking hates him, so and is terrified of him. So anyone associated with him directly, not going to be great for them. And then for Stronzi, well, he is associated with the old. I mean, I honestly, if we're as far as dirt goes, we could see what he's been doing since the old burgomaster fell. But honestly, it seems both of their prior associations leave a pretty bad taste in the mouth of most of the people here. Anyone of the populace who are flocking to them are likely doing so more out of fear and trying to back what they perceive as a potentially winning horse. But I think the four of you and your various allies changed that calculus quite a bit for when Ismark throws his hat in the ring. It's something to the like of, the old burgomaster couldn't protect you from Strahd, and he was much smarter than Ismark, and so Ismark without the old burgomaster, how is he going to do any better? Not even as smart as the old man was.
Isaac, you mean?
Right, so it's like if you have a mastermind and dumb muscle, and they couldn't protect you, how's the dumb muscle without the mastermind going to do? Not so good, I think.
How do burgomeisters normally get selected for these towns?
Mostly hereditary until you fuck up too bad and people storm your house and burn it down and kill you and your family. And then political maneuvering takes place, and one way or another somebody sort of emerges as the logical choice, whether through force of arms or popularity or...
So let's have a speech at the church, and Ismark will announce that his candidacy. And see what happens?
It certainly is a thematically appropriate place.
And say that he just wants a vote right there, that very day. Raise your hand if you want me or whatever, and that not a campaign, and which I don't even know about, but just a speech. Do you support me? And then we'll be saying, go Ismark, yay, yay. And the other people probably will get wind of it. So we probably want to announce there's going to be a speech, but give a little bit of time for the word to get to the people that we would want to come so we could defuse them.
Right. I think that makes sense. We put the word out a little bit in advance and then have the speech and then, move on from there.
Excellent. I guess we're in a political movement now.
I will say this. It occurs to me that perhaps we should let Isaac come to us. It's possible he will simply try to have his own speech elsewhere, but I think, and if we remain in the church, anyone attacking the church is sort of, if nothing else subconsciously, aligning themselves with the last person who attacked the church. If you know what I mean, the optics are
villain energy. Got it.
The optics are, regardless of their actual orientation, the optics are quite bad.
You know what? We're nothing if not dramatic bitches.
Facts.
Well,
I think we got that.
As my father always said, politics is theater, and Barovia is a tragedy.
Oh, that was good.
Oof.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that one's off the dome. Not to break the mood, but and honestly, I didn't know Barovia was a tragedy until after I had said the first part. Because I was like, politics is theater is a saying, but I was like, oh, we gotta that part two. Why would his dad say that? Oh, that's why his dad would say that. Sorry.
It was fine.
It was funnier before you explained it. I'm just kidding.
Listen.
Just kidding.
Yeah, it's fine. I did it to myself. I was lost in the sauce. High on my own supply.
To be thick, though.
And maybe Strahd will show up.
Well, I hate... Sorry, go ahead.
All the birds, one stone. We love to see it.
Maybe. Yeah. I do hate to call it early, but I do think we are going to call it there because I think we've got a plan. So...
Jesus.
Listen, I will let everyone know the episodes are going to be shorter because, we won't be able to start until after I get back from work, which is going to be 9:30 to 9:45, typically on those Fridays that we play. So I'll try to get here as quickly as I can, but that's sort of the window. And we won't be going later than midnight, although we are a little early on that tonight. But thank you all so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for the hype train, the gifted subs, the bits, the regular subs. Appreciate y'all so much. Giving us a great first day back, and appreciating everybody for sticking through with us. It's late. I don't think we're gonna raid out tonight. And we may not. Well, I guess if you guys want to look, to see if anybody we know is live. But we're going to go through our usual sign-off as well, reminding you who we are, who we played tonight, and where we can be found on the internet, starting with Vincent Page.
As if you guys haven't heard enough of my voice today. That's fine. I'm Vincent Page. I have been Ash Fireforge. You're changing the rogue. And yeah, you can find me on Twitch at Vincent Page, on TikTok at Vincent Page. And we're streaming Kingdom Hearts right now. And honestly, we had a fantastic night. I'd love to see you guys come hang out tomorrow.
Oh, we should I should start putting your TikTok in our Twitch link dump. Remind me of that. Is it just is it at Vincent Page on TikTok?
Yep.
Okay. Great. Omega.
Hey y'all, my name is Omega. I played Onyx, or not Onyx, Jesus. It's been way too long since we played.
Right? 4 months is eternity.
Yeah, feels like it. Played Pizza Wallhorn, the Valor Bard. You can find me on TikTok, typically Omega MT42, and here until we finish this beast. So,
Excellent. Just so I know, Vincent, is it Vincent Page all one word or any underscores, anything?
Pam's got it for you already.
Okay, great.
But yeah, it is all just one
Okay,
word.
great. I was just updating the link though. Excellent. Ozzy.
I'm Ozzy. I played Cass and Thorin Fireforge tonight. And
Double
it was a
duty.
good, yeah, it was a good
Hell
first
yeah.
session back.
All right, and bonus one.
And I am Bonus Mom, and I played Wanderous, the nature domain cleric, and apparently political and military genius here out of
That's
nowhere.
right.
So, has a million plans, all of them bad. I'm on TikTok Monday through Fridays, about 9 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Daylight Time, or closer to 10 if I've been playing Elden Ring the night before. And Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, I play Elden Ring with Pixel. And I'm
Heck yeah.
everywhere else too. So just look around for me.
Huzzah. Excellent. Well, my name is Pixel, and I have been your Dungeon Master, your Mordenkainen, your Rictavio, your Ismark, your Erwin Martikov, and many others. We've been pulling all the duty today. I actually didn't have to be your Chadrick Litstitcher today, but thank you all so much for hanging out. Really appreciate it. Glad we're off to a solid start here. Things really ended up turning out differently once we read what those symbols of Ravenkind actually do, and I read what Strahd's stat block does and had Rictavio impart some information about vampires to you guys. But I'm very excited. I think it's been really cool. I'm excited for this brief political part of this game, and then we will be moving on into the big whammy of Castle Ravenloft, baby. We should be playing again next on the 17th, as far as I understand it. If any of our cast have an issue with that, I'm sure they will let me know, and then I will let you know. Thank you guys so much, and I don't think we're going to re-edit tonight. I think we're just going to sign off. So thank you guys so much, and be kind to yourselves or whatever. There's like a thing I say. Just say it for me. You know what I say. So it's all good. No, thank you guys so much, and we are glad to be back, and bye-bye!
Bye, everybody.
Okay,
Next
bye.
week, we promise to hit somebody next time.
Yeah, there
Hell
will. Yes,
Hitting
someone's
people.
getting. We gotta
We're
speech to
hitting
write,
somebody.
and somebody's gonna get an attack roll.
Bonus
Say that again. We're coming back.
Bonus Mom may even commit murder again.
There it is.